Rejected for infertility, she discovered the heartwarming journey to love with a single dad CEO. Emma stared at the vibrant autumn leaves drifting lazily from the trees, their colors a reminder of the changes she yearned for in her life. Growing up in Maplewood, she had always been proud of her work as a nurse, the way she dedicated herself to helping families, cradling life before it even began. But now, after years of heartache and failed treatments, the embers of hope flickered dimly, almost extinguished by whispers and glances from neighbors who couldn't understand her struggle with infertility. In the glow of her small apartment, surrounded by unused toys and unfulfilled dreams, Emma felt the weight of rejection more than ever. The walls, once adorned with family photos, now reflected her silent battle, a lingering ghost of the mother she longed to be. That crisp autumn afternoon, as she prepped for a charity health fair with her usual diligence, she bumped into Jack. He was a whirlwind, a charming CEO with tousled hair, a bright smile, and a spirit that danced like the leaves around them. When he introduced himself, she was incredulous. How could someone like him be standing before her? She watched him juggle a tablet in his hand while holding his daughter Lucy's tiny fingers with the other, a single dad, trying to balance his ambitious career while showering love on this little girl who lit up with each giggle. There was something magnetic about Jack. Emma felt it tug at her heartstrings, pulling her into an unfamiliar warmth. As they talked about the event, he shared snippets of his life, the challenges of single parenthood, and the joy that Lucy brought him. "It isn't easy, but every day is an adventure," he said with a chuckle, eyes sparkling with genuine affection for his daughter. Emma smiled softly, but inside, her heart quaked. Could she ever be part of a family like that? Jack's laughter echoed in her ears, lifting her spirits just as the autumn sun warmed her skin. They began to spend time together, navigating the chaos of their lives, the shared dinners, school events, and moments that felt like pieces of a puzzle she never knew she needed. The more she embraced Jack and Lucy, the more she felt like she could belong. But, as rumors started to swirl like frosty winds around town, that fragile cohesion was threatened. Just as Emma started to shed the heavy cloak of insecurity, a health scare left Lucy in the hospital, wires and beeping machines surrounding the girl who had become a beacon of hope for her. The very air inside that sterile room felt suffocating. Emma's heart raced with fear. Standing by Jack's side, she felt paralyzed, overwhelmed with insecurities that reared their ugly heads. Was she worthy of being part of Lucy's life? Could she bring love to a family built on this powerful bond without blood ties? Each uncertainty echoed the heartbreak she faced for years. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that charged moment, with Jack holding Lucy's tiny hand, Emma felt the full weight of the possibility that love and connection can flourish against all odds. Could she truly step away from the shadows of worry and embrace this family, regardless of what others might think? The gusty winds of doubt howled louder than ever, but amidst that storm, a faint spark of courage flickered. Emma stood at a crossroads, her heart racing as she imagined opening her heart fully, knowing that each choice could change everything: her future, her fears, her profound yearning for belonging. And as the very future hung delicately in the balance, Emma took a deep breath, allowing the promise of love to guide her, igniting a fierce hope for a life she had almost given up on. The fluorescent lights of the hospital room flickered softly, creating an artificial brightness that did little to warm the cold, antiseptic air. Emma could hear the faint whirring of machines, each beat punctuating her spiraling thoughts. She stood there, her soul clenching as she looked at Jack's face, etched with worry. Lucy lay on the bed, small and fragile, but even in her slumber, Emma could see the flicker of that fierce spirit she had come to adore. Why isn't she waking up? Jack's words trembled, breaking the silence. Emma could hear the heaviness in his voice, the unfiltered pain of a father watching his child struggle. Unable to answer, she felt a knot tighten in her chest. What if this moment was the threshold she feared? How could she possibly be enough to step into the chaotic beauty of their world if the very essence that made it wonderful was in peril? Suddenly, the door opened, and a doctor stepped in with a calm demeanor that both reassured and unnerved Emma. It was as if the air had shifted. She felt the weight of all the emotions around her and the uncertainty it carried. Emma's mind raced back to her own struggles, the empty rooms of her life, the children she might never hold. A wave of protective instinct surged through her, a fierce longing to shield Jack and Lucy from hurt. "Emma," Jack whispered as the doctor began to explain Lucy's condition. "I can't do this without you." His eyes locked onto hers, vulnerable yet seeking strength. She felt the tether between them tighten as if by answering him, she would pull both of them from the brink. "Of course, you can," Emma replied softly, her own voice surprising her. "You've done it all this time." But she hesitated, unsure of how to voice the depth of her feelings. "I want to help you both. I want to be a part of this." Jack took a deep breath, his relief palpable. In that moment, they were no longer just a single dad and a hopeful woman, they were a team, facing the shadows together. Emma felt a surge of determination replace her doubts. No titles or labels were attached to love, after all. As the doctor finished explaining the treatment process, Emma leaned closer to Lucy, brushing a stray curl away from her forehead. A warmth radiated in her chest, blooming amidst the anxiety. This was the family she wanted, and damn it, she was ready to fight for it. Not just for Lucy's sake, but for Jack's too. She realized she had to let go of her fears and embrace the possibility of a life filled with laughter and joy, even in the midst of trials. As time crawled on, Emma held Jack's gaze as if sharing a silent promise. The journey before them was filled with uncertainty, but she was no longer standing on the edge of despair. Hope had taken root within her, a stubborn, bright bloom. "Emma," Jack said again, his voice breaking through her reverie. "Can I count on you?" "This could get." "I'm here," she interrupted, her voice steady. And with those two simple words, she felt the walls around her heart crack ever so slightly, allowing the light of hope to seep in. But just as she felt a sense of peace enveloping them, the emergency alarm suddenly blared, a shrill reminder of the fragility of life. Emma's heart dropped, dread pooling in her stomach. "What is happening?" Jack's voice rose with panic as the medical team rushed into the room. The familiar warmth igniting in her chest turned icy. In that split second, she realized that their battle had just begun. Would they find a way through this, or would the darkness draw them apart? As the chaos unfolded around them, a piercing question loomed in Emma's mind: was her newfound resolve strong enough to withstand whatever storm lay ahead? The blaring alarm shattered the fragile space between them, snapping Emma back to the harsh reality of the moment. Jack's grip on her hand tightened with a mixture of fear and desperation. She could see panic morphing his features, his usually warm eyes now wide and frantic. The room became a whirlwind of movement. Nurses rushed in, their faces serious as they prepared for whatever was unfolding. Each second dragged, stretching time unbearably thin. Emma's breath hitched, a tidal wave of emotions crashing over her. This wasn't just Lucy's fight, it was their fight. And in this moment, they were more than two people clinging to hope, they were a family, bonded by love and fear. One nurse knelt by Lucy's bedside, checking the monitors displaying a frantic dance of numbers. Another quickly prepped a syringe. Emma felt nausea rise in her throat at the sight. This wasn't the introduction to family she had imagined. "Doc, what is going on?" Jack's voice burst forth, strained as he leaned closer, a protective father in crisis. "Lucy is experiencing some distress. We need to stabilize her. Just stay calm." The doctor's voice was steady, but there was an urgency there that made Emma's heart race. Jack turned to Emma, raw emotion spilling from his expression. "We need to do something. I can't lose her, Emma." In that moment, her heart broke for him. The intensity of their situation swept over her like a dark cloud, shrouding them in uncertainty. But within that darkness, a flicker of determination ignited within her. She had to be strong for both of them. "Jack," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't give in to fear. Look at her." She gestured toward Lucy, small and fragile yet holding on to life with an unyielding grip. "This is her fight, and she is strong. We have to believe she can pull through." His gaze met hers, searching for something, perhaps reassurance, perhaps the strength they both needed. And she realized, in that moment, that her role was not just to stand by but to help them both find the light. "Right," he breathed, trying to gather the shreds of composure. He nodded, a flicker of hope returning to his eyes. Emma could feel the tension shift slightly, a softening amidst the chaos. As the medical team worked around them, she felt the edges of her own fears dissolve a little. She reached for Jack's other hand, holding both of his firmly. "We're together in this. I believe in Lucy. I believe in us." He looked down at their joined hands, then back up at her, blinking rapidly as if the weight of their reality was just beginning to settle in. "Thank you," he murmured, a raw gratitude shining through his vulnerability. But just as relief started to seep into the room, the monitors let out a sharp beep, a sound that sent Emma's heart plummeting again. The nurse's face tightened, and she barked an urgent command to the team. Jack's breath caught, and Emma could feel his tension radiating through their connection. "What does that mean?" he asked, terror creeping into his voice. "I don't know," she admitted, the weight of uncertainty heavy on her chest. They stood together, a united front against the tide, but even Emma felt her resolve wavering. Outside the bubble of the room, the world moved on. Other families roamed the hospital corridors, oblivious to the life-and-death drama unfolding just beyond the door. In that moment, Emma wished for more than just hope. She wished for answers, for guarantees, for promises that everything would be okay. As the team continued their work, the seconds felt like hours, and Emma clung to Jack's hand, feeling the heat of his desperation seep into her skin. If they could just make it through this night together, but even as she thought it, doubts crept in like shadows. When would they know if Lucy was going to be okay? As tumultuous emotions churned, Emma's phone buzzed in her pocket, a sudden interruption in the storm. She fumbled to check it, her heart racing as she saw a message flash on the screen, a reminder of a life outside the walls of this hospital. With a heavy heart, she wondered if it was time to face her own reality. Would she be able to hold on to the newfound sense of belonging she felt with Jack and Lucy? Or would whatever news awaited her on the other end shatter everything she had begun to build? Emma's fingers trembled as she glanced at her phone screen. One message lit up: "Mom is coming to visit. Can we talk?" It felt like a punch to the gut. The world outside this hospital room was pressing in, demanding her attention in the middle of this fragile moment. As she pulled in a shaky breath, the weight of her own life loomed ever larger. "Do you need to take that?" Jack's voice broke through her reverie. His eyes searched hers, brimming with what felt like both curiosity and worry. Emma hesitated, glancing back at the monitor where Lucy lay, so small yet wrapped in heartbeats that pulsed like promises of hope. "No, it can wait," she said, forcing a smile she didn't quite feel as she pocketed the device. But the anticipation of that conversation lingered like a storm cloud above her. Perhaps her mom wanted to discuss everything Emma had tried to avoid: her decision, her struggles, the painful reality of her infertility, and the inevitable questions. Suddenly, a chill swept through the room as the doctor re-entered, his expression grave. Emma felt Jack's grip tighten around her hand once more. "We need to talk about Lucy," he said, his voice steady but his body tense. "Is she okay?" Jack's voice cracked, breaking Emma's heart further. "Lucy is stable for now," but the pause felt eternal, and Emma's stomach sank. "We need to address some underlying issues. It's crucial we monitor her closely for the next few hours." As the doctor spoke, Emma tried to gather her thoughts. Underlying issues? What does that mean? Her voice sounded strong, but inside, anxiety twisted like a knife. "It means there are complications that may arise. I'm not saying anything definitive at this stage, but we have to be prepared. She's fighting, but it will take all of her strength and yours," he added, glancing at both of them. Jack inhaled sharply, like he'd just taken a blow. Emma could see grief mixing with determination in his eyes. "Whatever it takes," he said, his voice lower now but imbued with undeniable resolve. The doctor nodded, and with that, he took his leave, allowing them a moment of solitude. Emma turned to Jack, who had an expression mixed with fear and fierce attachment, as if the past few days had transformed him completely. "What if," he started, but the words caught in his throat. "What if?" She prodded gently, still holding onto his hand with a sense of urgency. He swallowed hard. "What if we lose her? What if we never get to have the family we both want?" Tears welled in Emma's eyes, the truth of those words hitting like a wave crashing down. "We've already built a connection, Jack," she whispered fiercely. "We can't let fear take over. Lucy needs us to stay strong, and so do we." In that moment, Emma realized something profound. Despite her own troubles, her mother's judgment, her unfulfilled dreams, this little girl had stitched them together in ways they had yet to fully understand. If Lucy made it through this, they could forge her a life full of hope and love. Jack looked at her, the fear in his eyes replaced with something almost serene. "You're right. We need to fight for her. She deserves everything we can give." Just as he uttered those words, the beeping of the machines turned frantic, drowning out their fragile moment. "Is something wrong?" Emma shouted, the echo of the alarms rising around them. "Stay calm." A nurse rushed back in, her demeanor urgent. Emma's heart raced. What could possibly happen now? The room filled with medical staff, and in that chaos, she felt Jack's presence beside her, his strength grounding her even as the world blurred into a whirlwind. As they both sank into that familiar darkness of fear and hope, Emma felt like they were teetering on the edge. Clutching Jack's hand tighter, she barely heard the familiar buzz of her phone again. Would she have the courage to face the voice on the other end, and what if it changed everything forever? What if it turned out not to be just about Lucy? What if it forced Emma to confront what she had been avoiding for too long? The chaos swirled around Emma like a storm, each bright light and frantic voice pulling her further away from her thoughts. She could hardly focus on the medical staff darting in and out, performing their duties to help Lucy. Each time a nurse adjusted a monitor or checked vital signs, Emma's heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. But the weight of her mother's impending visit pressed heavily on her chest, a looming tension intermingling with the present anxieties. Jack's hand squeezed hers again, a familiar anchor amid the uncertainty. "Do you think they need us in here?" he asked, glancing toward the flurry of activity by Lucy's bedside. "I don't know," Emma replied, her voice hushed. "But I can't just stand here and do nothing. Let us ask." Before he could finish, a nurse turned to them, her expression softening. "I know it feels overwhelming, but your presence can be a calming force for her. Stay close." Emma nodded, her resolve settling over her. She wanted to believe that they could offer Lucy a comforting presence, a reminder that she wasn't alone in this fight. They were all she had, after all. Both Jack and Emma took a step closer to the incubator, peering into the tiny, fragile form inside. Lucy's chest rose and fell rhythmically, a sign of life that was equal parts beautiful and terrifying. Emma felt tears sting her eyes, but she blinked them back. This was not the time to break down. Jack leaned closer, his voice low and gentle. "Hey, little one. We're here for you. We're going to fight this together." Emma's heart swelled at his words. It was an affirmation, not just for Lucy but for them as well. They were going to be a family even if it felt precarious at that moment. As the ringing of her phone interrupted the moment yet again, she hesitated, glancing at the screen. The contact name caused a pang in her chest. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to answer it now. The thoughts of her mother consumed her mind. Still, a thread of curiosity urged her on. "Are you going to get that?" Jack asked softly, not taking his eyes off Lucy. "No. I think I should." Emma's resolve broke through the uncertainty like sun piercing through clouds. With a deep breath, she stepped back slightly, still holding Jack's hand for reassurance, and swiped to answer. "Hello. Emma." The tone was firm, maternal regret spilling through the line. "I'm here." "Where are you?" The words danced on the edge of confrontation. Emma clenched her teeth, her heart pounding again, but this time with a different rhythm. She could feel Jack's eyes on her, urging her to take control. This was her moment, not just for herself, but for Lucy, for Jack, for what they had begun to build. "I'm at the hospital," she replied, her voice steadying. "Lucy is in the NICU. She's doing as well as can be expected. Can we talk?" Her mother's voice wavered slightly, raw emotion lying just below the surface. Mom. Emma felt a tremor in her own voice. "I don't know if now is the best time. Things are really complicated." "Emma, please. I know things are difficult, but I need you to understand I just want to talk about everything." Every syllable hung heavy in the air, swirling with unresolved issues between them. Emma's mind broiled with all the pain she had tucked away. Should she face this now, when they were already grappling with so much? Or would avoiding it cost too much in the end? Silence stretched uncomfortably between them. Finally, she sighed, the fight leaving her. "Okay. Let us talk." Before she could reconsider, another piercing alarm cut through the air, a loud, demanding sound that shattered the fragile truce in her heart. The world spiraled as she turned her gaze back to the nurses huddled around Lucy's incubator, their expressions unreadable. "Jack!" she gasped, pulling him closer. "What's happening?" Jack's grip tightened around her. Fear twisted inside her, mirroring the chaos around them. As the medical team worked, Emma felt a spark of urgency echo through her. Was this the moment she had been dreading? Or just the beginning of a truth she needed to grab hold of? The air cracked with electricity. What new challenges awaited them, and would they have the strength to confront them all? Emma braced herself. The beeping of the monitors filled the room, a chaotic symphony layered over the frantic movements of the medical staff. Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest as she watched nurses shift into a rapid response mode, their faces focused and serious. An unsettling knot twisted tighter in her stomach. Jack's presence was a comfort, yet the uneasiness between them was palpable. "What do you think is wrong?" he whispered, his voice barely a breath above the din. "I don't know," Emma replied, her voice a fragile whisper. "But it can't be good." Her eyes darted between Lucy's fragile form and the nurses, desperate for reassurance. They needed a sign that things were going to be okay. Minutes felt like hours as the scene unfolded. With every passing second, Emma felt hope eroding into panic. She stepped forward, unable to contain the worry coiling in her chest. "Lucy, please," she pleaded softly, her hand reaching out as if to bridge the gap between them. As the wearied nurse glanced up at Emma, there was an understanding in her eyes, a quiet assurance. "We're doing everything we can. Just give us a moment." Emma blinked back tears. The words were meant to comfort, but they felt inadequate in the face of uncertainty. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the commotion settled down. The urgent alarms fell silent, and the team surrounding Lucy seemed to relax. Emma held her breath, her heart racing with equal parts dread and yearning. Slowly, a nurse stepped back, allowing Emma a view of Lucy. She looked like a tiny warrior, fragile but fighting. "She's stabilized," the nurse explained, a relieved smile breaking through the tension. "She just needed a little extra support. We're looking good for now." Emma's chest flooded with relief, and she squeezed Jack's hand tightly. "Did you hear that? She's okay." The words tumbled from her lips, sounding like a prayer finally answered. Jack exhaled, his shoulders dropping as a grin began to form. For now, he echoed, his voice tinged with cautious optimism. But just then, a chilling thought pierced Emma's elation. Would this feeling of hope last? And what awaited them once they stepped beyond the NICU's doors? Are you ready to talk to your mom? Jack inquired softly, his eyes meeting hers with both concern and sincerity. Her pulse quickened at the thought. This was not just a situation, it was threaded with family dynamics too complicated to untangle easily. I don't know. She'll have questions and things I didn't want to address yet. Do you think it'll help? He asked, tilting his head slightly as a way of encouraging her. Emma hesitated. I can't keep avoiding it forever. But what if it just adds more chaos? Maybe chaos is what you need to push through. You're stronger than you think. His words wrapped around her like a protective shield, grounding her. With a heavy sigh, Emma looked back to the incubator, taking in every detail of her baby girl. Lucy was fierce, and that fire inside her seemed contagious. She couldn't back away now, not from either battle. Okay, Emma said, finally meeting Jack's gaze with newfound resolve. Let us do this. Let us talk. As she turned to call her mother, Emma could almost feel a hard wall inside her beginning to crack. She was stepping into the deep end, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, even if it meant facing the painful truths. Jack's hand slipped into hers, squeezing tightly as if to say they would face this together. And as they prepared for the call, Emma could feel the ground shift beneath her. What new revelations awaited her in that conversation? Would she discover the strength to face her past in a way she never thought she could? Emma took a long, steadying breath before dialing her mother's number. Each beep felt like a drumbeat in her mind, echoing her anxiety. Jack stood beside her, a silent pillar of support, his thumb gently stroking the back of her hand. She closed her eyes briefly, imagining the moment Lucy would finally be safe and healthy, this looming conversation fading into the background. The line clicked, and she heard the familiar ringtone. It felt like an eternity before her mother picked up. Emma? Is everything okay? Her mother's voice came through, tinged with both concern and the faint tremor of a pending confrontation. Mom, I am at the hospital. Lucy is here, Emma said, her voice wavering. She, had a rough moment, but she's stabilized now. Oh, thank God. Her mom exclaimed, relief mingling with the edge of disbelief. What happened? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I needed to get my head straight first. Emma's stomach tightened as she forged ahead. But I wanted to talk to you about more than just the hospital. What do you mean? There was a sharpness in her mother's tone, a hint that she sensed more lay beneath Emma's composed facade. Emma hesitated, glancing at Jack. His gaze urged her on, and she felt a small surge of courage. There are things with Lucy I haven't shared. About why I couldn't be a mom before, and why I'm scared to face it now. Silence stretched on the other end, thick and suffocating. Emma could almost hear her mother processing those words, questions tumbling through her mind. She didn't want to burden her mother, but Lucy's very existence forced her to confront the heart of all these fears. Emma, we need to talk about the past then, her mother finally said, her voice steadier. I knew there were complications but I thought we'd work through it together. Chills ran down Emma's spine. I didn't want you to worry, Mom. I thought I could figure it out without dragging you into my mess. But I've realized that keeping you at arm's length won't make things better for either of us. Why would you think that? Her mother asked softly. Because I'm terrified of failing again. Of letting you down again, Emma admitted, her voice breaking ever so slightly. The weight of her mother's expectations, tangled with her own fears of inadequacy, pressed on her heart. Feeling Jack's grip tighten around her fingers seemed to breathe new life into her. This is a chance for us to understand and help each other. Lucy needs a family. We both need to find a way to start fresh. Please, let us not let the past tear us apart anymore. Her mother sighed deeply, the tension palpable through the phone line. Okay. We can face this together for Lucy. Just promise me one thing, you'll let me in. Emma's heart raced. Her mother's words were a beacon, yet she wondered if she could truly bridge the gap. I promise. Just please be patient with me. As they wrapped up the call, Emma felt the pieces of her heart slowly rearranging. There was a weight that had lifted, yet the uncertainty loomed large. What did this mean for their future? Jack's presence was steady as she hung up. That went better than I expected, she admitted, half smiling through the tension. Not the easiest conversation, but maybe it's the hardest that brings the most light, he replied, his eyes sparkling with shared understanding. But as relief washed over Emma, another thought crept in. Would facing her mother's past truly help Emma find peace? Or would it open more wounds than it healed? She looked back at Lucy, still nestled in the incubator, and felt a surge of determination. Whatever came next, they would face it together. This wasn't just about Lucy, it was about Emma discovering who she could become when surrounded by love and understanding. As she turned towards the exit, ready to face what waited outside, Emma felt the ground beneath her tremble once more. What other battles lay ahead? What whispers of truth remained to be uncovered? Walking away from the hospital room, Emma could still feel the weight of that conversation wrapping around her. Jack's hand remained firmly in hers, a silent reminder that they were in this together. She took a moment to observe the sterile white walls adorned with cheerful little drawings. The juxtaposition of color and emotion struck her, vibrant art in a place where so many people faced their darkest days. What are you thinking? Jack asked softly, drawing her out of her thoughts. Just, how crazy this all is, she replied. I mean, one moment I'm scared and lost, and the next, I'm facing the past and trying to build a future. Jack smiled. It looks like you're already starting to bridge that gap. Talking to your mom isn't easy. Emma nodded, fighting back a wave of vulnerability. It feels like a storm is brewing. I didn't realize how much I needed her until now. But there's still so much fear. What if she can't accept everything about Lucy? What if my past becomes a barrier instead of a bridge? Your past shapes you, but it doesn't have to define you, Jack reassured her. You're not alone in this. And neither is Lucy. His words hung in the air, anchoring Emma amid the swirling uncertainty. As they stepped outside into the crisp air, Emma's mind didn't just linger on the conversation with her mother. It drifted to the practical matters ahead. Names, diapers, and bottles danced in her head like wild little dreamers. There were decisions to be made, things to prepare for when Lucy finally came home. Are you okay with taking a bigger role in all this? Emma asked, her voice tinged with both hope and trepidation. I mean, raising a child it's a huge commitment. Jack paused, the corner of his mouth twitching upwards. I wouldn't have offered my help if I wasn't all in. Building something together is what I wanted, anyway. It makes my heart race thinking about it. Her heart fluttered at his enthusiasm. You mean that? Absolutely, he affirmed, sincerity shining in his deep-set eyes. You and Lucy, it feels right. I want to be there for both of you whatever you need. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest, intertwining with the worries that still lingered. It was a different kind of pressure, a connection brewing with Jack that both terrified and elated her at the same time. She couldn't help but wonder what this new reality would truly look like as a blended family. Thank you, she breathed, pausing to look deeper into his gaze. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're here. But do you understand what that might mean? Before he could respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket, shattering the moment. Emma quickly retrieved it, and her heart sank as she glanced at the caller ID. It was her mother. Taking a breath, she answered, Mom. Emma, I hope you're still near the hospital, her mother's voice was urgent, with an unmistakable tremor. There's something we need to discuss right away. The world around Emma seemed to shift as she heard the words. Jack's expression mirrored her sudden worry, his brows knitting together in concern. Emma's pulse quickened. Had something happened to Lucy? What do you mean? Is it about Lucy? She managed to ask, her mind racing with possibilities. Yes, please come back, her mother insisted, the anxiety in her tone gnawing at Emma's core. The line went silent, but the weight of that request hung heavily in the air. Emma felt Jack's hand grasping hers, grounding her as panic threatened to swell. Let us hurry, Jack urged, already starting towards the entrance. Emma followed, her heart pounding against her ribcage, every step feeling like it carried profound consequences. With uncertainty looming over them more intensely than ever, she couldn't shake the feeling that facing the truth would demand more strength than she could muster. What was her mother about to reveal? The hospital lobby felt colder as Emma and Jack rushed back inside. The clinical smell and the chaotic sounds of ringing phones and hurried footsteps mixed with the tension in the air. Emma's mind raced, each thought punctuated by the gnawing worry that something serious had happened to Lucy. As they approached the elevator, Jack squeezed her hand tightly. You got this, he murmured, though the line of his jaw was taut with concern. Emma stepped inside, the doors closing with a soft whoosh. The quiet was dissonant, amplifying the pounding of her heart. Her thoughts clashed. What could her mother possibly want to talk about? Did she have bad news? The very idea made her stomach churn. Jack's voice broke through her spiral. What do you think she wants to tell you? I don't know, she whispered, a tremor in her voice. I just hope it's not about Lucy being sick or something worse. Before she could finish, the elevator chimed and opened to their floor. They hurried out, and Emma led the way to her mother's room, her heart heavy with dread. When she reached the door, she paused, taking a deep breath to steady herself. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, fueling both her anxiety and resolve. Jack stood close, waiting patiently, ready to support her. With a soft push, she swung the door open. The sight that greeted her was unexpected. Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, a stack of papers in hand, but her expression was a mix of worry and determination, not the fear she had anticipated. Emma! Her mother exclaimed, relief flooding her face. I'm so glad you came. Mom, what is going on? You sounded urgent, Emma said, glancing at the papers. Her mother hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on the stack. It's about Lucy. I've been researching options, trying to understand more about her condition. I didn't want to bring it up until I was sure. Condition. Emma's breath caught. Jack instinctively stepped closer, his presence a steadying force. You see, her mother continued, her voice stronger now, there may be programs available that can really help her. I wanted to discuss potential therapies that are. Emma interrupted. Mom, is something wrong with her? Is my baby sick? That's not it at all, Emma. Lucy is okay, but there are options we need to consider. I didn't know how to tell you. Her mother's voice softened with empathy, understanding the weight of her words. This could potentially change her future for the better. Emma felt a wave of emotions crash over her. Hope wrestled with anxiety, her heart swirling. But what do you mean? What options? Jack stepped in, his gaze fixed on Emma's mother. Whatever it is, we can face it together, right? Emma swallowed hard, glancing from her mother's face to Jack's supportive expression. She could feel the blend of fear and uncertainty again, but with it, a flicker of hope. Yes, her mother replied, steeling her nerves. I think you both need to understand everything fully. I've printed out information on various specialists and therapies that might help. Emma's heart raced. The prospect of hope felt tantalizing yet terrifying. Would these options bring Lucy closer to a normal life, or was this just another layer to unearth? Let us look at it together, Jack encouraged gently, pulling a chair closer. As they gathered around the small bedside table, Emma's mother began to explain the papers, each word wrapping around Emma's heart like a lifeline. But what Emma didn't expect was for her mother to reveal something even bigger, something that would change everything she thought she knew about her own past. As Emma's mother flipped through the papers, her voice carefully steady, Emma felt the world shift under her feet. "There's something else I need you to know, Emma. It's about your father," her mother began, her expression tight with emotion. The words hit Emma like a freight train. "My father? But he's not part of my life," she stammered, confusion clouding her thoughts. Jack's hand tightened around hers, a silent promise of support. "Emma," her mother's eyes shimmered with a mix of regret and determination. "You need to hear this. It's essential for you and for Lucy. There are things about his health history and our family's genetics that I've kept from you. It's all connected." Emma's heart raced, a whirlwind of feelings swept through her like the leaves caught in the autumn breeze outside. She had never wanted to know more about a man who had walked away from them, about all the moments she was forced to fill without him. But Lucy was here now, fragile and vulnerable, and a sense of urgency pierced Emma's heart. "Mom, just tell me. What is it?" Emma urged, her voice firm yet laced with anxiety. "There's a history of health issues in his family, issues that could affect Lucy, given her condition." Her mother took a deep breath, her voice wavering but resolute. "I should have told you sooner. I didn't know how to bring it up without hurting you more. But Lucy's health is priority. We can't ignore this." Jack's warm gaze filled Emma with sudden hope. She felt his reassurance radiate through their linked hands, urging her to listen intently. "What exactly are we talking about?" he asked, his tone steady and grave. "There are certain genetic tests and screenings we can consider. It might help tailor Lucy's treatment and prepare for any possible complications," her mother explained, her voice measured yet urgent. "Knowing her risk factors could open new doors, new therapies. We have to be proactive." Emma took a steadying breath, allowing the information to sink in. For so long, she had boxed away the specter of her father's abandonment. Now it seemed like the key to fighting for her daughter's future. "We have to do whatever it takes, right?" She looked at Jack, who nodded firmly. "Absolutely," he replied. "If this can help Lucy, it's worth exploring." Her mother's expression warmed as she watched the bond between them grow. "We'll face this as a family. I want to be here for you both, not just as your mother, but as an advocate for Lucy." The air filled with a sense of clarity and urgency as they dove into the papers, discussing options methodically. With every potential therapy and screening they explored, Emma felt the fog of despair lift bit by bit. They were no longer alone in this fight, they had each other, and now, they had a plan. Hours melted away as they strategized, their conversation shifting from anxiety to hope. Jack's unwavering support and Emma's mother's newfound willingness to be involved formed a strong foundation, one Emma had yearned for but thought out of reach. "Emma, thank you for allowing me to be part of this," her mother said, tears forming in her eyes. "I see you, and I want to help you in every way I can." "I just want Lucy to be healthy and to be happy," Emma replied with a tearful smile. "We have to give her every chance she deserves." Suddenly the door creaked open, and a nurse walked in, her demeanor bright and bubbly. "Hey there. How's everyone doing?" "Better, I think," Jack replied, throwing a quick glance at Emma as if to share the relief coursing through them both. "Fantastic," said the nurse, beaming. "Just so you know, Lucy's doing really well. She's on track, and if the specialists approve, we might be able to discuss her discharge soon." A chorus of delight erupted from Emma and Jack, echoing in the sterile atmosphere of the hospital room. Emma's heart soared. "Really?" "Yes. We're cautiously optimistic. As long as everything continues improving, we can talk about moving forward," the nurse confirmed, her smile infectious. Emma exchanged excited looks with Jack and her mother, the culmination of their fears now transformed into anticipation. You hear that, Lucy? You're coming home soon. Emma whispered, glancing at the small incubator. Jack wrapped an arm around Emma's shoulder, pulling her closer. This is it, Emma. She's going to have a future with structure, love, and a beautiful family behind her. Emma's voice trembled as warmth flooded her chest. Yes. We're going to give her everything we couldn't before. We're going to be a real family. In that moment, beneath the fluorescent lights of the hospital room, a vision of a life flared to life. Full of laughter, bonding, and healing, a family formed from the unlikely combination of love, scars, and second chances. As they stepped back from the brink of despair and toward a bright horizon, Emma realized she had been given another chance, not just to be a part of Lucy's life, but to be the mother she had always dreamed of being. And then it hit her, warm tears streaming down her cheeks. She was also allowed to lean on those who loved her most. They would face everything together. Jack kissed her forehead gently, sealing the promise they made that day. As they left the hospital, the air felt lighter, electric with possibility. Each step resonated with strength, each heartbeat a reminder of the beautiful challenges still to come. Together, they stood strong against whatever lay ahead, united as a family, ready to embrace whatever came their way. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss more exclusive stories like this. Leave a like now, your support is crucial. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this transformative ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of love and hope. You know it could inspire them.